With me here, I have a dear friend of mine. Would you like to introduce yourself to the lovely people watching behind the screen?
I most definitely will. My name is Peschardt. I'm a teacher. I'm a former stripper and sex worker. And what else is there to say? I'm gay.
You brought it up yourself here in your introduction about the former sex worker. How was that?
It was an experience. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed a big part of it, mainly because I am very privileged, I am white, I am cisgender, I am skinny, I can move any way I want to. And honestly, I didn't care because I could go home to my welfare. Like I could go home and then I didn't have to worry about my rent. So for me, it was fun because the money was just fun money. Because it wasn't my living, like I didn't have to do it. I did it because I wanted to. It was enjoyable.
I love that you bring up the conversation about privilege again, because it's very much a big part of sex work and the differences between it. Because queer identities and sex work have gone hand in hand a lot of the time throughout our queer history. How have it been for you to manage to move on from it and start more to delve into the teaching elements?
So I started doing pole in Denmark before I went and worked overseas. And when I started pole, it was all about the sports. There was no sexy sex, it was sports, and I'm strong and I'm a woman and I don't do that. And then I quickly realized that was very boring. And then I turned into the more sluttery side of it, to say it. And then I went to Vegas a few times and I started working there, and I realized how much more fun it is, how much more enjoyable it is for me, especially for me as a lesbian, because I didn't care. Like, the men would never have me. And I think that was also a kink, to turn someone over. Then it later turned into sex work. Because I've also realized that pole dancing comes from sex workers. And in the pole industry, we have a very big feud about pole as a sport and pole as sex work. And we can't seem to see eye to eye on this, because some pole studios in Copenhagen do only have like pole sports, and it's very distanced themselves from where it all started. And then there's the rest of us, the sluts, that embrace everything and acknowledge the history and the sex workers before us. But for me, it's sex work. It started from there.
There is a big part of history that needs to be honored and learned to delve into the arts.
Yeah, and also because like whenever, before Corona, whenever I enter a stage, I just thank all the sex workers before me, creating this option for me as a white little lesbian to go on stage and show my vagina. And you have to accept and appreciate them and say, they were here before me, they did this, so I can do this without being stigmatized a lot.
How can we support the voices, the lives of today, of sex work today?
For me, sex work is an honest living. It's just like being a nurse or a teacher or whatever you are. And in order to protect the sex workers, we first of all need to destigmatize it, decriminalize it, and make a union, which is hard, I know. But it's more about removing the stigma of it. And that's what I do when I teach the kids. I'm very honest about what I do when I am not here. Like, I don't sell them my shoes, that's the perks online. But I tell them very honest that some people are into that, and that's okay. So I think it's about the education and talking about it and communicating it, and then being honest about it. And trying not to shame people doing it, even though it can be hard, I understand. I also do it without being aware of doing it sometimes, because we all make mistakes, because we're all humans.
And we all have blind ankles also.
Totally. So I think it's more about talking about it and spreading the message. And one thing that is like really important for me is like the happy hooker does exist. A lot of sex workers are here because they or we made the choice of being there. I know there's a lot of sex trafficking, and that's awful, and we need to solve that problem as well. But it's more about, I chose the sex industry because I love it and I'm great at it. So that's why I am here. And we also have to hear that voices sometimes, but we need to acknowledge there are so many blind spots and so many ankles that we don't see. Again, because I am white, I am thin, I am straight passing, so I have all the privilege in the world. But we still need to acknowledge that existence, but remember the people we don't see.
I don't know how you feel about it, but I often think about there's different kind of levels of it. The one behind the screens, and then with those working the streets.
I mean, Onlyfans are the most privileged sex worker you could ever be, because it's online, you don't have to touch anyone. I know there's a lot of work in having an Onlyfans. It's not to not say that, because there is, but you are protected in your own home. You don't have to touch someone, or you don't have to stand in the street. You are so protected. It's privileged. But I also think the OnlyFans that's another discussion about the tech industry, like disowning sex workers, even though the sex workers are putting all their money into tech industries, but that's another thing. OnlyFans is bullshit, to be honest. Like, it started with the best intention, then the pandemic, and then all the white girls came and was like, I'll make an OnlyFans to pay my rent.
Oh yeah.
I mean, then the famous people joined it, and then like watered out all the original sex workers there. I'm not there anymore. I'm out.
Now you're just selling your shoes online.
Hell yeah!
Do you have something you want to share that you think has been missed in the conversation?
I think when we talk about sex work, we often forget that sex work is so many things.
Yeah.
Like, I have never done full service, meaning I have never sold penetration, but I have done other things. Like, I have been lap dancing, stripping, all that, selling stuff online, making cute little videos, whatever, but I've never done full service. And I think when we say sex work, because it's so easy to just make an umbrella of all of them, but sex work is so many different things. Like, for me, I don't necessarily see myself as a sex worker, because I don't provide sex. I provide sexual kinks, or like fantasies or something else. We have to have a new vocabulary about the sex worker industry. Like, I'm a stripper, but I'm not necessarily a prostitute. And somehow we just end in the same little thing. It's like saying a teacher and a nurse is the same because you both work with kids. Yeah. There's levels of sex work, and we need that to talk about it more without being stigmatized. Especially when we talk about the police. If I call them and it's like, I've been robbed, I did this job or whatever, they would see me as a prostitute. Or an escort. Without being that, and that makes it harder to help. Also because then we come with different kind of traumas, and if we like structure it and make it more official or somehow, then we can better help. So we can provide more for the street workers. They need something specific. The strippers need something else. The cam girls needs a third thing. So if we make it more divided in the society, it will be easier for us to help with the trauma that all this work will leave in you.
Does there exist an organization in Denmark that we can support who does support sex workers and have also intersectionality in mind, you know, different levels of sex work and support?
The Red Van. Financially, they're quite easy to support. You can even buy a cute little t-shirt where it says, I support my local sex worker. Very cute. But they're an amazing organization, and you should support them no matter what level sex worker you are, and whatever funds you have, you should pay back to the community. Because like when I donate to them, they take the sex workers on the street and help them.
So support the Red Van.
Do it. Give them your money.
Thank
or
you.
me. No. Find me on Instagram.
Thank you for coming.
You're
Thank you for
welcome.
talking with me.
Anytime.